Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Paradigm Woods and Irons from Callaway.
Hello, I'm Anna Jackson, and this is your Golf Central update. Well, the second men's major of the year wrapped up on Sunday, so let's take a look at the final leaderboard from the 105th edition of the PGA Championship, as it was Brooks Koepka who won by 2 shots over Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler. Scheffler returning to number 1 in the official world golf ranking. Rory McIlroy ends up finishing tied for 7th after 3 consecutive 69s to get to 2 under for the tournament, but the week belonged to Koepka, who has now hosted the Wanamaker Trophy 3 times in the past 6 years and has 5 major championships.
Feels damn good. Yeah, this one's definitely special. I think this one's probably the most meaningful of them all, with everything that's gone on, all the crazy stuff over the last few years. But it feels good to be back and get number 5. I've always learned more from the 4 times I've finished second than the 5 times I've won now. I think failure is how you learn. You get better from it. You realize what mistakes you've made. Each time I've kind of made an adjustment. It's more mentality than it is anything. There's not really a golf swing or anything like that. It's just, you're going to play how you play, but mentally you can kind of figure things out. And I'm always trying to get better. So just trying to find that little edge, just to poke and pry inside my head. And really, I think the big key is just being open and honest with yourself. And if you can do that, then you'll be miles ahead of everybody else.
Brooks, you seemed to get a little emotional as you were walking from the 18th green to the scoring tent. Was that relief? Was that suddenly realizing what you had accomplished? Just curious.
Yeah, I think it was definitely what I accomplished. Pardon my language, but it's all the I had to go through. No one knows. I think it's been all the pain. There was a lot of times where I just couldn't even bend my knee, and it felt good. It felt really good.
So a huge win for Koepka, but the other big story from the weekend was PGA professional Michael Block just put a little perspective show into what Block just accomplished. His 15th place tie was the second best finish for a PGA professional at the PGA Championship since 1980. Only Lonnie Nielsen in 1986 fared any better. So what a week for Block, who was emotional after wrapping the tournament.
This week's been absolutely a dream. I had no idea it was going to happen, but if I knew if I just played my darn game right, that I could do this, and I always knew it. And I had this intuition that it was going to happen with. I always had this thing. It was going to happen with Tiger Woods. It really was. I always saw myself coming down the stretch with Tiger Woods, and I was like, I'm going to do it, even if I'm 45 or whatever it is. I'm going to come down the stretch in an event with Tiger. It just happened to be that I was in the 2023 PGA Championship at Oak Hill, and I had Rory McIlroy in my group. And I wasn't coming down the stretch to win, but at the same time, Sunday at a major with the crowd here at Rochester was unreal.
The emotions finally caught up to you after the CBS interview, and you had to go into a tent and kind of take a breath. What did you think of as you took that breath?
I didn't cry when I had my kids. I cry for some reason. If you love golf, you know. I mean, I cry about golf, to be honest. I've cried only a couple times in my life. When I won the national championship in 2014 in Myrtle Beach at the Dunes Club, I cried. And then after that, my wife hasn't seen me cry until this week. And so if it makes any sense that the one thing in the world that makes me cry is golf. So if that puts into context as far as how much I love the game, you know now. So it's everything to me. Obviously, I love my family and everything else and my job and everything, but golf's my life. I live it, breathe it, and I made sure of one thing in my life, that I was going to drive to a golf course every day, whether it was a caddy or an outside service kid or an assistant pro or a head pro or general manager. I was going to be at a golf course, and I came to a golf course today at Oak Hill and played in the PGA Championship.
So the dream continues. Michael Block will be heading to Fort Worth, Texas on a sponsor's exemption now this week at the historical Colonial Country Club for the Charles Schwab Challenge. You can see live first round coverage Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Golf Channel. And Kenny Perry won the 2013 event 10 years ago now. And what a career for him. 14-time winner on the PGA Tour, 2-time Ryder Cup team member, and he's had plenty of success on the PGA Tour Champions as well. And he joined Damon Hack and Eamon Lynch on Golf Today.
I've always been fascinated, Kenny, by who wins at Colonial. It's such a throwback, old-school golf course. Why did it fit your game so well back in the day?
Well, Damon, that was a great question. If I knew the secret to that, I would have played better at other golf courses. But you know what? You had to drive the ball really well there, and it was a tight golf course. And if you had the ability to drive it into the fairway and be aggressive, I think that's why I took advantage of it. I drove it straight. I hit driver on like 6 and 7, 9, the tight holes, and would hit sand wedges into the green where you could lay up short of some of those bunkers and, and play safe, and lay back, hit 7, 8 iron in. And I think it played to my advantage because I shot I think I was 19 under a couple of times on both of my wins. And I just played very aggressive, and I drove it very straight, and I just kept hitting driver on the holes you probably shouldn't hit driver on.
Kenny, to that point, this seems one of the few courses on the PGA Tour these days that isn't overrun and bullied by long hitters week after week. Is that a test you don't see that often on the PGA Tour anymore? Does it demand something that other courses just don't?
Well, I think so. When you have Bermuda rough and you're forced to hit the fairways to gain ball control, when you have that little 4-inch or 3-inch Bermuda rough, when that ball sits down and every time you hit it out of that rough, you catch fires. And I think, that's premium was on fairways that week. And a lot of weeks, it's the bomb and gouge. You can just hit it as far as you want to and still, get it around the green and be very successful. And I think he played in a lot of wind at Colonial, there being in Texas, and with the rough and the small fairways, they're fairly narrow. It gave a huge advantage to guys who could hit it fairly long and keep it in the fairway, and it paid a premium that week to make you successful.
Kenny, when you won, you got hot. You won 3 times in 03, twice in 05, 3 times in 08, twice in 09. Some guys win, and it takes them a while to kind of get back on the horse. You did it so beautifully, so often. How'd you carry momentum forward after winning, which is exhausting on the PGA Tour?
Well, that became a time in my life where we became empty nesters. In 08 and 09, I was 48, 49 years old. And, 03, kids were still around, but it just seemed like I was able to rededicate my life and refocus on my golf and in those years and get after it. And I really didn't have any pressure. It was everything to gain, nothing to lose, and was able to cut it loose and see what I could do out there. And a lot of good things went my way. I mean, I had some fantastic putting weeks, and normally that's what kind of held me back. I was always halfway decent ball striker, top 10 greens and reg, and total driving, I was always top 10. And so the ball striking part wasn't it. It was always my short game effort. And then it just seemed like whenever my putter woke up, W started coming my way.